Hello and welcome. Today we will be demonstrating our Lab 5, which will deal with our chapter 9 and 10 from the book. Let's get started into the topic. So, our chapter 5 for the Capsule Corp internal network penetration testing. So, we have two chapters here, chapters 9 and 10. So, chapter 9 is basically dealing with Ubuntu machines. We will be dealing with SSH key, and we will be using the same keys to gain access to SSH. Okay, and we'll also be using MSF to establish a session so that the attacker machine can gain access to the Piccolo machine using the root. And chapter 10 will deal with all the Windows machines. So like whatever things we did in chapter 8 to Reddits and TN, we will be repeating the same thing, but this time we'll be targeting Reddits, and we'll be stealing ntds.dat database data. And finally, we will control the entire network, and we'll get information of all the machines joined into the Capsule Corp local domain. So the machines used for this assessment are Goku, which is RDC, Piccolo Ubuntu, we have Nail Ubuntu, and we have Reddit's Windows Server 2016 from chapter 8, and we have TN, which has the MS17 Eternal Blue from chapter 8, and we will finally use the pen tester to gain access to the machines. So the tools used in the assessments are Metasploit Framework, Mimikatz, or currently it's known as QE, John the Ripper for password, CrackMap exec, Impacket, SSH key generation for generating all the keys, crontab for scheduling tasks, MSF Venom for creating custom payloads, and finally is setutil for payload download on Reddit, and VS admin for shadow copy. Let's begin with chapter 9, Linux Unix post-exploitation. It will be using Piccolo. So the first thing we do here, I'm going to explain the steps and we can try it. So first thing we do is we go to the root directory, root.ssh directory. We're going to generate a key. Okay, we will not put any passwords in this case. We'll copy the same key to our pen tester or the attacker machine. And then in pen tester, we're going to enable public key authentication so that we can authenticate to Piccolo using only the key but no password. And then we're going to verify if it works or not. Okay, we're going to go one by one. First, I'm going to show you the password file that's in C root SSH. I've already generated the file. So to go there, you have to be sudo. You have to be a super admin. So here, let me verify. Sorry, it's in Piccolo. So we are generating a key in Piccolo for Piccolo session, so that when we copy the key generated from Piccolo to our Ubuntu scanner, the scanner should be able to log into Piccolo using no password but only the key. So the directory was cd root ssh. If we do ls, we have our pentest key.public and we have private key. You can just cat the key. This is our RSA, and then this is our private key. Let me make it visible. So this is our private key. The command that was used to generate the key was ssh keys in -t RSA. And then we are gonna copy the same public key to our attacker machine using SCP. So the copy location is gonna be .ssh/authorized keys in our pen tester. So if I go to pen tester, this one here, the scanner. Let me verify the location again. Sorry, it has to be in the root directory. Let me exit the session for now. Here I have authorized keys. If I cat the authorized keys, I will get the RSA key. So we have successfully copied the key to our Ubuntu pentester. Now, the other thing we have to do is we have to enable public key authentication. So SSH by default only allows password login and blocks root access. So we have to allow the public key authentication in the machine where we're trying to log in from. When you can use Vim, or we can just use a normal nano command to verify if it's properly set up or not. I'm gonna cat and then I'm gonna see if the option is yes or no. So here public key authentication is chosen yes. So now we can authenticate using public key that we just copied. Let's go to the next step. So we can verify if we can SSH or no using the key only. So now from the attacker machine, we can successfully log in. Let me see. So from Piccolo. So from Piccolo, we can log in to 250, which is our Ubuntu scanner, using the key that was generated on Piccolo itself. Because the key that was generated on Piccolo, we copied to Ubuntu scanner. Now the same key will be used by Ubuntu scanner to log in. So this also happens the other way. Now we can, so from Ubuntu scanner, we can use the same key to log into the other machine and gain access, which we'll discuss in the coming slides. Now, the other step is going to be creating and automating the SSH reverse tunnel. So to create a reverse tunnel, we have to run this SSH command on Piccolo. Let me copy the command. Okay, we're going to run this on Piccolo, which is our victim. We're going to exit the whole session. Okay, it says remote port forwarding. It is listening. Let me verify if it's working properly or no. I will cancel it and then I will go and do it here. Let me change the port just for this case. Let me do 54322. Okay. Now here we're going to see if it's listening or no. It is listening on localhost 54322. Now we can go on the other step. Now we can, from the attacker, since it's listening, we can log in to the root of our Piccolo machine. The root password is this. So now we have the root access from the Ubuntu scanner, from the attacker machine. We can do who am I, root, and host name is Piccolo. Okay, we have successfully done up to this point. Now let's see what else we have. Now let's go to the next slide. So the next slide is for cron tab. So we're going to create a backup callback SSH script. So that's going to run every 5 minutes. That's going to run the same command so that we have the SSH session open. I've already done it. So in the so we can do cron tab dash L. So in the cron tab list in the Piccolo, I have defined that to run the callback script every 5 minutes. Okay, we can go to the temp directory and check. So I will cat callback.sh. So this is going to run the same command that we ran to establish a session, SSH session. It's a simple command. The script is provided in the presentation. Now let's move on to the next slide. Here, so this is a simple basic command. We're just gonna try to look for any passwords. So ls-la, the A flag will reveal all the hidden files in the directories, which is really clear. Everybody probably knows it. And the grep is gonna look for any password variations inside the home directory. So in the current setup, we could not find any password setup, which is normal because we don't have any password files inside. And to check the bash history, we can do cat.bash history, and we can do more so that we can see more. We can try this one, cat.bash history. So we can see the bash history. So the reason we see the bash history is maybe sometimes we can hardcode credentials in the bash. The people can do it. So using the bash script might reveal some really good information. So for our class session, we have no clear trick password here, so we will not get anything. Let's move on to the next. Now the next thing is to check the root hashes. We can go to etc/shadow and it's going to list all the root hashes. So we can try the experiment here. We can use John the Ripper to get crack the hashes. So what we can do is we can cat the shadow file. So this is the shadow file. So we have root with this hash, and then we have Piccolo with this own hash. Okay. Now this is Piccolo machine. We can copy the whole hash like this and then save it in this attacker machine. I think I already have saved it. Let me see what I saved the name into. So it's saved into shadow. I can cat shadow. So this is the same file that I copied. Now we can go to John the Ripper. I expect the John the Ripper to be installed. I have installed it in this directory. We have to go to run and then ls. I think it's /John, and then we have to specify the file, which is shadow, and it's gonna run. So we have already cracked the hash, so it's already stored in the pot. We can use the show command to see that the root has password p@ssw0rd and Piccolo has password p@ssw0rd. If you want to try this, I can delete the pot file. I can just sudo remove the /John pot. Now I can try John the Ripper again. Now it's gonna crack again. Let's wait. Bingo. So we have root password and Piccolo password cracked. Let's move on to the next slide from the book. So this is to look for any SUID's binary. So SUID binary is it's like super user that allows the binary file to be run as its owner root, regardless of whoever executes it. So there is no restriction to one individual person or a group. So if a file has SUID set, there will be a symbol S instead of X. We can see that using this command. Let me copy. So in the Piccolo itself, It's listing all kind of possible things we have. So these are all general and proper files, binary files, which are not suspicious. What we found in this case, in this lab, I'm going to cancel it, is that the file in binary copy, the copy file has the super user SUID set up. So this means that the copy CP command can be used to do tasks that can be done by the root, and we're going to utilize it. What we're going to do is first we're going to create 2 copies of the etc/password file so that the actual file is not corrupted. We made 2 copies. One is password 1 and another one is password 2. And we're going to salt it. Okay. And then we're going to change the password. We're going to create a user called pentest. Okay. Using the password P3NT3ST exclamation. And then we're going to create a hash. We're going to put that hash in the password1 file. And then we're going to replace the password etc/password file with password1. So I'm going to show you. So what we did here, we have password1 and password2 file. So I already modified password1 file. Let me tail it. And I added the pentest entry here. Okay. And then I copied the password1 file as the actual file as etc password. So I can cat etc password. And then I have the pentest here. Also, the reason we have password2 is that we can replace it again. So after we're done with the lab, we can just change the password2 file to etc/password. We have successfully added it to the etc password file. Now we can log in as a user pentest. I can do su pentest. I'm a super user pentest. And what else can we do? We can do ID-A to see if we are the super user or not. We have the root privileges, so we are the super user. And we are done with this part. Let's move on to the next. So 3.6 says stealing and passing SSH keys to other machine. So to do this, we have to copy the whole private key. After we copy the private key, we'll save it to some new file. In this case, we're going to save it to stolen SSH key here. And then using the same SSH key, we're going to use MSF session to gain access to the machine. We're going to open SSH terminal. So I've already saved the SSH key to a file name is stolen SSH key. We're going to recreate this again. Let me open MSF console and then do this one by one. MSF console is opening. Let me explain what we do here. So we're going to use the SSH login public key auxiliary in Metasploit. So I don't think the public key auxiliary is available. You can just use SSH underscore login. We're going to set the key path to the stolen SSH private key. We're going to set the our host file to the SSH users, which is our Piccolo machine. You can just set our host and you can just provide the IP. File is going to do a good thing. We can set the username to root and then we're going to run it. Here, MSF is open. So as I told you already, there is no auxiliary called this name. We can just use SSH login. See, it works. In the book, it was mentioned public key. I can just remove it. Now we're going to set the key path to the stolen SSH key. So let me go and check if it's actually the same one or we have something or no. We have the private key here. Be sure to copy it from here, from Piccolo to your own machine. Now after we set the key path, we're going to set the rhost file. Let me check if the file has something or no. Let me check. There has been something. Home Ubuntu user Capsule Corp services. Let's go to Home Ubuntu user Capsule Corp. I hope it's Capsule Corp too. Okay. I think the file has been deleted. I can just create a new file. Unless we're just gonna make a. I was doing the lab before, so maybe there was a cleanup. We have services. Let's go to services and we're gonna create ssh.txt and we're gonna put the password of Piccolo. Let me be clear with the password of Piccolo. You can just see it from here. It's 10.0.10.204. We're gonna save it. So this will be set now. So our host is set. We're gonna set username to root. Verbose to false, and then let's run it. So it's a success. So we got access to port 22 on Piccolo, and it says UID root, and it's Linux Piccolo. So it's success. So you can go to sessions. It opened the session. So if you want to go to, so we are in. So it will not show a proper terminal, but we can execute commands. So if I type who am I, it's going to say root. If I say get UID, I don't think get UID is possible. But who am I worked? What about host name? It works. What about IPBRA? It works. So I get the IP. UID? I thought it was get UID. Get ID? Forget about it. So this is how we can use the private key to gain access to SSH session using MSF. Now let's move on to the next. Oh, so we are in chapter 10 now. So chapter 9 is done. This is all we have to do for chapter 9. Now for chapter 10, we're going to control the entire network. I'm going to explain everything now, and then I'm going to try each of them one by one. First thing we're going to do is we're going to list all the domain admins after we gain a shell to TN. So I got a shell to TN. Also, we did it in chapter 8. So from that, we see that administrator, Goku admin, Reddit's admin, and Vegeta admin are 4 domain accounts identified. We're going to use the administrator. After that, we're going to locate system with domains admin logged in. We already have the SMB pass. We did in chapter 8. Okay. After that, we're going to use impaget WMI exec because some of the commands from the book, it didn't work. We have the hash. We're going to use it. And we're going to get a shell on Reddit. We're going to generate a payload using MSF Venom on the pentester, and we're going to download it on Reddit. After we do that, we're going to execute the payload, and then we can load incognito mode. We can get the system. We can get the escalation. We're going to list tokens. We're going to impersonate as a capsule code administrator. We're going to get UID. Finally, we're going to load QE. Okay. After loading QB, we're going to dump all the credentials. Finally, the crack map exec on Reddit will be used to ping to Capsule Corp local. The same thing will be done again on the DC domain controller. And to check, we do whoami command. Finally, the main thing is we have to list any VSCs, volume shadow copies. We don't have any, so we're going to create a new volume shadow copy for C drive. After we do that, we're going to copy it. We're going to copy it into a file called ntds.dit, and we're going to dump all the system hive into a new file called sys, and then finally we're going to download it using impacket. We're going to get ntds.dit and system.dit. After we're going to use Python and impacket module to run secret dump.py to get all the password hashes. Finally, we get all the hashes we're going to discuss later. Now let's talk about chapter 10 from the first. We have done this. Now we can do this. What we're going to do is, let me do the command. First, we're going to spool. Spool is for capturing all the output. We can do that, or we can just leave it for this. We're going to use the specific auxiliary module, psexec logged in users. Okay, let me clear. Okay, we are into psexec. Now, the second thing is we're going to set our host to windows.txt file. This contains all the Windows machines we detected in chapter 8. To verify we have the file, we can just cat it. We have all the Windows machines here. Most importantly, we're focusing on 207 and 208. After we do this, we're going to set SME domain to local, SME user to administrator, we're going to set SME pass to the hash that we got. This is the admin hash. We're going to set verbose false. And then we're going to run it. This is the admin hash for our Reddit. Let's wait till it runs. It's going to check the SMB pass to user administrator for all the machines. And for 207, he was successfully logged in. Okay. So we got a shell to Reddit 207. After this, we're going to keep the session open in the other terminal. Because some of the things in the book did not work, I have to turn around and do something new. The things will be explained as I go. On a clear terminal, I'm going to paste this command. So I have a shell open. Okay, we're just going to leave it open. So we're going to generate a payload. So this command will generate a payload. Okay, this exact command. It will be saved in tmp shell.exe. I have already done it. So I'm just going to go on the same machine. I will go to tmp, temp directory, and then we have shell.exe. I cannot cat it because it's encrypted. But the command is to open a reverse TCP shell on 250, which is the attacker itself. After we do this, we're going to launch the Python HTTP server, and we're going to download the file shell.exe. We can just do python 3-m http.server. Okay. After you do that, you go to Reddit. There is a command for certutil. This one, certutil, which is going to download the shell.exe. Okay, let's wait. Let me see the problem. I didn't specify the port here. My mistake. Now, okay, let's wait. It's downloaded. If I do ls, sorry, Windows does not have ls. If I do dir, I see my shell.exe here. We can run the shell.exe using this command. Before we run it, there has to be something listening. So in the same MSF session, we're going to use multi-handler. for listening. Okay, payload is already set, I guess. Yeah, so we're gonna run it in background. Let me open a new lesson. It's all because of the options. Show options. It's because of the options. We can just unset the option. This is from our previous setup. Now what if I run it? Let me just exit and open a new. We can use the multi-handler. Let me open a document for some clearance. So we're going to use we have to set al host and al port. So use multi-handler. Okay. Set al host is our local host 10.0.10.250. Set al port to any port you want to listen 4444. We're going to run it in the background. It's running. Let's see. Let's wait. It should give us some. Okay. Jobs. It's running. Now, let's wait. Now we have to execute the shell. Let's wait. Okay. Shell is running. What we want to achieve in this session is we need to have a proper shell. Should give a session, should open a session. Let's check. It should be opening a session by this time. We have a session open. It's creating every new session. Let me just close it. Let me execute the shell again. Let me try changing the payload. We can use the exact same payload, this one. Let me do jobs. Okay, let me do jobs. We don't have an active job. We're just gonna run it. Okay, we have a new handler running. Now we can run the shell.exe. Okay, finally meterpreter session open. So the problem was it was not using a proper payload and it was just giving random bytes and again canceling and opening and canceling. Let's wait. Let's wait for the session to fully open. This is our session. We go to session 54. Sorry, get UID. I'm Reddit. Okay, now let's move on to the next step. Now what we have to do is load incognito. Okay. Okay, incognito. Incognito means unknown, so that it's like a browser incognito mode. So it may be necessary to get to system first, just for previous access. We're gonna list tokens. Let's see what we have. We have it. Capsule Corp administrator. We just wanted this. Now we're gonna impersonate as Capsule Corp administrator. It should be successfully impersonated. Let us wait. Okay, successfully impersonated. Now let's get UID. I am Capsule Corp administrator. Now we have to load Kiwi or Mimikatz. Success. After we load Kiwi, we can just dump it by using credentials. Oh. Let me say get system. We might need to migrate. Let me get system again. Let me do it again. Okay, let me run it. Should be open by now. It is open. Let's wait a bit more to be completely open. Okay. Okay. But it's now get the system. We dump the credentials. Here you have the credential NTLM hash, SHA hash for administrator, Reddit, and that's it. Most importantly, we got the credential for the administrator. Now, what we're gonna do is move on to one of the most important parts of chapter 10, which is using Impacket. First thing, we're gonna resolve domain controller IP. So we expect that the IP is not known. First thing we're gonna do is get the IP using the hostname. So we know capsulecorp.local is the domain. We don't know the IP. We're gonna ping capsulecorp.local and try to get IP information. First thing we see is password is success, which is a good thing, but it cannot ping because Goku is not running. My mistake. Let it run. Let Goku run, and then we're gonna run the same command, and we should get reply back. Okay, I hope that should be enough. Let me just now that should be enough. See, now we resolve the IP address 10.0.10.200. Now we're gonna use the IP address. And the second command, authenticate to Goku with domain administrator hash. Now we know the IP address. Okay, we also know that it's the admin. We also know that the domain is capsulecorp.local. We already got the hash. We're gonna check the hash by running the whoami command. If the whoami command returns, then we have success. So we have found the password, so password is right, and the capsulecorp administrator is the hostname, whoami. So we have successfully known the password, hash, and the IP address of the capsulecorp local domain controller. Now we have gained access to the actual machine. Now we need to get access to all of those who are joined into the machine. First thing, we're going to check if there are any volume shadow copies. There are no volume shadow copies. Okay, we're going to create volume shadow copy using vs admin create shadow, which I've already done. Now after we have volume shadow copy, we can use the first command to check. Let me see the problem. What if I use this? I see there is a problem with the command. Let me verify. Let me copy this command. There's something wrong with the command. I cannot point it out. Okay. Okay, now we have the shadow volume copy, shadow copy one. What I'm gonna do is download the shadow copy. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get the system and I'm gonna get the NTDS. Okay. First command. There's a bit problem. The command is simple. The command is just this. The same crack map exec smb IP, what user administrator, a domain caps local. We have the password hash and the method we're going to use smb exec. And what command we want to run? We want to run bsadmin create. We already did it. Now we're going to copy the same command, but in a different way. Let me remove unwanted spaces. Okay. The command is a bit long, but it's not difficult. One file's copied. Okay. Now the final and the most important part. Sorry, let me do this also. So one of it's for NTDS and the other one is for system. So we have both of the files copied. Now the final thing. We're going to use Python 3 in packet again to gain access against gain the shell. And then we're going to use the get command to download the files to our local system. Okay. But this time we will be gaining access. Sorry. Yes, we will be escalating to our DC Goku. Previously, we would be doing it to Reddit and TN only. Let me fix the command. So it's very important to remove the unwanted spaces. Okay, we are here. Let me use the C directory. Dar ls. Okay, we need to download NTDS and system. Okay, get NTDS, get system. We have nothing, just exit. Bye bye. ls, NTDS and system. Okay, the most important part. Use the Python tool to crack both of them. You have to combine both of them. First, it has to be system, and the second has to be NTDS, not the other way. Okay, Let me explain what we found. Administrator guest is the account in Goku. We have Goku. We have user Goku admin, Vegeta admin, Gohan admin, Trunks admin, Reddit's admin, Piccolo admin, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, which are the users joined to the domain. Now, finally, Gohan, Vegeta, Trunks, Reddit, Nappa, Tien, Krillin, Yamcha, Piccolo, Nail are the machines joined to the domain. This was the main task. We have successfully gained the hashes of all the machines and all the users joined into the capsule of the local domain. Now let's discuss some of the findings. These are the findings we already talked about. Key findings and recommended actions. So we have a non-standard SUID on BinCP, which allowed us to do super user copy command. The shadow file passwords are weak. The password is p@ssw0rd, which is really weak and can be cracked in the default word list. SSH key was reused. So we have a cron-based persistent callback. We also did a domain admin session on Reddit, which was also done before in Chapter 8. Incognito token impersonation. We impersonated as Capsule Corp administrator and we got all the tokens. We downloaded the data and tds.dit via volume shadow copy, and we had finally done the complete domain compromise. Recommended remediation. I will just talk briefly about it. So binary, we have to disable or change the S option, SUID option from copy. We can just remove it using chmod u-s, u-s, which is going to remove the super user SUID. So password and shadow file protection, there should be a 14-character password requirement. So Windows automatically does that, but in previous old systems, and also by disabling some of the features of Windows, people usually bypass that. And then the passwords are easily cracked using the simple rocku.txt. And SSH key management inside the SSH config, we have to disable root access so that nobody can log in using root. And we also have to disable the public key authentication. So nobody can access a machine using SSH using a public private key. So we have to enforce privileged access workstation for domain admin logins. And then this point is really important, alert and domain admin logins to non-dedicated systems. So whenever somebody logs into domain admin, there should be an alert system. Active Directory credential protection, so that Mimikatz cannot dump the hashes. We can rotate KRB TZT password. It says twice a year. Always monitor the VS admin shadow copy creation. And minimize domain admin accounts to absolute minimum. Try to make little accounts and now more, because if there are different kind of accounts and if one is compromised, the whole system might be compromised. And monitoring and detection is basically one of the most important motto in this topic, because this helps prevent attacks on a domain. First thing is alert on cron job creation. Second is detect SSH reverse tunneling patterns in network traffic. And also search util downloads should be flagged, which is done by Windows. Whenever MSF is used to download something to Windows, Microsoft Defender blocks it as virus. But some of the admins, due to lack of training, they might not know and they might block Defender. And then somebody could download an exe file into the system. Also in this lab for chapter 10, Microsoft Defender was working properly. It was not letting me download files, but I have to disable it to make it download. Overall assessment. Chapter 9 was SSH key, not managed properly. Chapter 10 is if one host is compromised, then whole domain is compromised. Finally, we found 23 anti-LM hashes. And all of these attacks mimic real-world mid-tray attack. We need defense in depth, patching, credential hygiene, least privilege, zero trust, and monitoring around all the systems to reduce risk. Now, in the presentation, any questions? I hope you don't have any questions. This was all. I hope you enjoyed it. Wait for my other video for lab 6, which will complete the whole capsule core network. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.